Thank you very much for choosing DBS to be informed in Africa and the world. We open this week's edition in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the trial of Vital Kamerhe begins this May 11, 2020. President Felix Tshisekedi's chief of staff is presumed guilty of embezzlement, and his co-defendants who appear in court in Kinshasa. He is suspected of having orchestrated the diversion of more than $50 million from the emergency program of the president of the DRC. According to report, his trial, eagerly awaited by the public, will be broadcast on television. The entourage of Vital Kamerhe has rejected all the accusations and declares to approach this first hearing with serenity. The Council of Ministers in Algeria have announced the postponement of the date of the new academic calendar for the year 2020-21 in mid-November 2020, according to the head of state, Abdelmajid Tebboune, who chaired the meeting. The measure also concerns higher schools exams that have been shifted to the second and third week of September respectively. Regarding the end of study internships and practical internships, bachelor and master students may continue upon the resumption of economic activities in public and private enterprises. According to statistics from the Coronavirus Observation and Follow-up Committee, about 5,000 people are infected, more than 2,000 have recovered, and 502 have died of the coronavirus. In the Comoros, former President Ahmed Abdallah Sambi, held under house arrest for 2 years without being charged, is to appeal his detention, his lawyers announced over the weekend. The case registered with the country's highest court of appeal is based on violation of the Code of Criminal Procedure relating to pre-trial detention. His lawyers, Mohamedou Ahamada, said the former leader was being illegally detained as the legal terms of the 8 months detention have been exceeded and no judge has charged him with anything. Sambi, who served as president from 2006 to 2011 and is the main opponent of the current president Azali Assoumani, has been held under house arrest since 2018 for disturbing public order and later pre-detained for embezzlement, corruption and forgery over a scandal involving the sale of Comoran passports to stateless people living in the Gulf nations. Out of Africa, France is launching a new phase in its fight against the coronavirus today. May 11 starts a progressive process of the lifting of the restrictions, which will unfold within several weeks, but Paris will be under stricter controls. Those returning to work will have to maintain social distancing rules. France, like many nations in Europe, have bowed to pressure and is reopening shops and businesses and aspects of life amid worries that relaxing restriction too much could ignite a second wave of coronavirus infections. Other countries like Britain will begin easing some coronavirus lockdown measures this week, but most will stay in place until last June 1. Belgium also eased some restrictions this Monday, and about half of the population in Spain will be allowed for limited socialization, and restaurants will be able to offer some outdoor services. And Poland's election on Sunday will be one for the history book as polling stations remain closed and turnout clocked in at zero due to political crisis set off by the pandemic. In the United States, former President Barack Obama delivered a ferocious critique of Trump administration response to the coronavirus crisis, describing it as an absolute chaotic disaster in a private conference call. According to reports, his remarks were made while encouraging former staff to work for Joe Biden's presidential election team. Obama also reacted to the Justice Department dropping its criminal case against Trump's first national security advisor, Michael Flynn, saying he is worried that the basic understanding of rule of law is at risk. More than 78,000 people with COVID-19 have died in the United States, and more than 1.3 million people have tested positive, according to the latest estimate. Trump has criticized the Obama administration in relation to his own administration response to the outbreak. White House press secretary said while Democrats encourage mass gatherings, President Trump was deploying personal protective equipment, ventilators, and testing across the country. And hundreds of Iraqis have gathered in central Baghdad for fresh anti-government protests, demanding better living conditions and an overhaul to the country's political system, just days after the formation of a new government. The gathering came after Mustafa al-Kadhimi, the country's new prime minister, promised to release demonstrators arrested during the mass protests that erupted in October last year. Following his first cabinet meeting, al-Kadhimi on Saturday also pledged justice and compensation to relatives of more than 550 people killed since the start of the popular uprising. Sunday's protest stretched to other areas of the country, including Iraq's southern city of al-Nashirah. That said, we've come to the end of today's edition. Don't go away. Keep watching information on DBS television. Until we meet, do take care and stay safe.